There's a moment that sneaks up on her. Doesn't come with fireworks or a dramatic breakdown. Comes in silence. When she checks her phone and sees no messages, no missed calls, no digital traces of you. At first, she tells herself it's nothing. She scrolls through social media, sees you living, breathing, glowing without her, and brushes it off. But something lingers. A subtle discomfort, like something valuable, slipped through her fingers, and she didn't notice until now. That's when the realization begins to settle, and she's lost you. Not just temporarily, but in a way that feels irreversible. It doesn't hit all at once. It trickles in slowly. Smell, a song, a photo buried deep in her camera roll. Those small reminders of you that once felt comforting, now sting. She remembers your presence the way you stayed calm when she was overwhelmed, the way your silence held more weight than words. How your presence made her feel safe without needing to explain why. And now that space is empty. This isn't just about losing a boyfriend. It's about losing a masculine presence that brought balance to her chaos. You didn't just love her. You led her. You offered a kind of grounded energy that's hard to find, easy to underestimate, and impossible to replace. She realizes she's no longer part of your life. And that's when she begins reaching back out, not directly, but through subtle signals. Follow, a like on an old post. A message that seems casual, but isn't. It's not really about reconnecting. It's about confirming, did he really let me go? She starts to understand that your silence wasn't passive. It was powerful. It was the sound of a man who knew his worth. And now, she's the one left wondering what it truly meant to lose you. Asterisk. When she starts to reach out again, she doesn't come with vulnerability. She comes with calculation. It might be a sudden follow on Instagram, a like on a post from months ago, or a casual message that says something like, "Hey, how have you been?" On the surface, it looks harmless. But if you pay attention, you'll see the intent behind it. She's not just checking in. She's checking your emotional temperature. She's seeing if the door she once walked out of is still unlocked. This is what I call breadcrumbing, small, intentional actions meant to test the waters without fully diving in. She wants to know if you still care, if you still miss her, if she still holds space in your mind. But she doesn't want to be vulnerable. Enough to ask those questions directly. That would risk too much, so instead, she keeps it light. She pretends it's nothing. But deep down, she's hoping for a reaction. She's hoping you'll take the bait. Maybe you'll like her post back. Maybe you'll respond with nostalgia in your tone. Maybe you'll do exactly what she secretly wants, open the door again. But here's where most men lose their power. They respond too quickly. They get excited. They mistake breadcrumbs for real nourishment. But a man with emotional discipline doesn't bite. He observes. He pauses. He asks himself the important question, is she reaching out because she genuinely misses me? Or is she trying to soothe her own discomfort with the idea that I've moved on? Sometimes her message isn't a sign of renewed love. It's a defense mechanism against regret. It's her way of making sure she still matters. The real test isn't whether she reaches out. The real test is whether you let her emotional uncertainty disrupt your peace. Asterisk, there's a shift that happens in silence. A slow and quiet unraveling that most people underestimate until it's too late. At first, your absence feels like space, maybe even a relief. She tells herself you just need time, that you'll come back when you're ready. That this is just another cycle you'll both eventually recover from. But days turn into weeks, and the notifications she expected never come. No missed calls, no emotional check-ins, no attempts to fix what was broken. That's when silence becomes something else. It becomes real. It becomes a mirror that reflects a truth she wasn't ready to see. You're not waiting for her anymore. You're healing. You're moving forward. And that realization shakes her in a way that words can't explain. Absence creates fear. Not just fear of losing you, but fear of being replaced. Fear that the version of you she once had is now becoming better for someone else. That your energy, your patience, your presence is evolving and no longer accessible to her. What eats at her? Because now she's no longer sure you'll respond if she reaches out. Now she's wondering if she was the one who underestimated your silence. mistaking your stillness for indecision. But it wasn't indecision, it was power. It was self-control. She starts to spiral, replaying old memories, wondering where it is. Went wrong, questioning whether she misjudged your value. Psychologists call it loss aversion, the pain of losing something. Is felt far more deeply than the joy of gaining something new. Your silence becomes that pain. Not because you intended to hurt her, but because you chose yourself instead of begging for her back. That choice, that quiet strength, becomes the most powerful statement of all. It says, I've let go. Have you asterisk sometimes. Reconnection isn't about weakness. It's not about chasing what once was or falling back into comfort. It's about timing, growth, and honest reflection. There are moments in life where two people love each other deeply, but the conditions just aren't right. Maybe life got in the way. Stress, distance, career pressure, miscommunication. Maybe both people were emotionally immature, still learning how to love without ego. In those cases, time apart can do something powerful. It can create space for clarity, space for both individuals to grow, to heal, to realize what really matters and what was simply noise. Not every relationship ends because of toxicity or betrayal. Some end because the foundation wasn't strong enough yet. If, during that separation, both people take the time to evolve, individually, they might return as completely different versions of themselves, stronger, more grounded, more self-aware. But this kind of reconnection only works when the desire to come back isn't born out of loneliness or regret. Must come from clarity and choice. You don't go back because it's familiar. You go back because it's right. Both people are finally capable of loving each other in a healthy, intentional way. But let's be honest, most people don't change. Most people miss the feeling, not the reality of the relationship. Miss the emotional safety, the affection, the routine, not the actual person. So before you respond to her reaching out, ask yourself, what caused the breakup? Is it something surface level, or was it rooted in deep incompatibility? Were there patterns of disrespect, dishonesty, or emotional immaturity? Because if you step back into something that hasn't evolved, you're just repeating an old cycle dressed in new clothes. Sometimes love deserves a second chance, but only if that second chance is built on new ground, not old wounds. Asterisk when she finally reaches out with something simple. I've been thinking about you. You're faced with a moment that holds more weight than it seems. It's not just a message. It's a test of who you've become. Because now, the decision isn't really about her, it's about you. It's about whether the man you've evolved into is willing to risk that evolution for something that already had its chance. You see, when a woman reaches out after realizing she's lost you, she's not just looking for closure. She's often searching for reassurance. She wants to know that she could still have you if she wanted to, that she still holds a place in your world. But you've changed. You're no longer in the emotional space where you need her validation. You've built something stronger. Self-respect. This is the moment where most men fall into the trap of nostalgia. The comfort of the past can be seductive, it whispers to you about the good times, the laughter, the connection, but it conveniently forgets the pain, the confusion, the nights you stayed awake wondering if you were enough. That's why your decision has to come from your highest self, not from loneliness, not from desire, but from clarity. Ask yourself, does reconnecting honor your growth, or does it sabotage it? Would going back elevate your life, or would it drag you into a cycle you've already outgrown? You don't owe anyone access to your healed version if they didn't appreciate you at your broken one. Your peace isn't up for negotiation. When she finally realizes what she lost, it's okay to empathize, but not at the cost of your future. Sometimes strength isn't in taking someone back. Sometimes real strength is found in walking forward and never looking back.